as we read from Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda, entitled Willpower. Willpower, and not the vague abstraction luck, is the secret of true achievement. Willpower on subtle energy levels generates what only looks like luck by magnetically attracting to us opportunities. Our will is strengthened by removing from our minds the no-saying tendency, the obstructions of doubt, of laziness, and of fear. Yes, even of the fear of success. Willpower is developed by persevering to the conclusion of whatever one attempts. One should start first with little undertakings, then proceed to bigger ones. Infinite willpower comes from harnessing the little human will to God's infinite, all-powerful consciousness. And let's affirm together. My will is to do that which is right to do.
My will is to do what is right to do.
Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress.
Nothing can stop my progress.
My will is to do that which is right to do.
My will is to do what is right to do.
Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. And whispering, my will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. And silently, my will is to do that which is right to do. Part all you mountains that stand in my way. Nothing can stop my progress. And please pray silently with me. O infinite power, I will use my will, but guide thou my will in everything I do, that it reflect thy will. And from Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Yogananda, entitled Satisfy My Soul Hunger. O all-pervading Spirit, the breeze of thy inspiration, the firmament of my mind is now clear. Purified, I behold only thee everywhere. The sunshine of thy joy spreads rapidly to the farthest shores of my being. After long ages of hunger, I feed on thy light. By thy grace and by my constant wakefulness in thee, may this joy be mine forever, forever, and forever. And from Conversations with Yogananda, the Master could, if he so chose, withdraw his mind completely from any pain his body suffered. One day, long before I came to him, he demonstrated this inner freedom. It was when the concrete wishing will was being installed at Mount Washington. The will slipped from the grasp of the men lifting it and dropped onto the Master's foot, which was crushed under the weight of 1,000 pounds. His automatic reaction wrote itself eloquently on his face. Physical pain made him wince involuntarily. I will show you something, he said to those present. I will focus my concentration on the point between the eyebrows. As he did so, instantly, every trace of pain vanished from his face. He could walk back and forth easily. Now, he said, I will lower my mind from the spiritual eye. Instantly, his physical expression again displayed the body's automatic reaction to the pain. Several times he repeated this demonstration. Years later, he told us regarding another pain his body was enduring. Last night, I wanted to feel pain as others do. So I brought my mind down to the body and held it there for a time. I realized then that, and this is Walter speaking, just as it takes effort for most people to rise above body consciousness, so it takes a master an effort of will to bring his mind down to the body. He would say, tell yourself constantly, I am not the body. I am not this form which changes and passes away. I am eternal bliss. Well, good morning to everyone and to those joining us online. We're having Roma with us in spirit today. She's not feeling well. And that's rare that she misses this time with you all. But I had to talk her into it. You have to be a bit of a lobbyist with these strong Irish types. And so she was being a good sport. And so she's resting. So please keep her in your prayers. I was sharing a story with friends last night over dinner, and I wanted to share it again. Many years ago, in the early 70s, Swami Kriyananda was touring Los Angeles with a whole group of us. Well, after he spoke, then it was my turn. Why? Because when I went to confirm that Swami Kriyananda was going to be on the program, they said, no, we've had a lot of, the big people on this program. We just want someone, basically regular, a normal guy. And I said, listen, this is a mistake. This man, and I did my best, this author and prolific composer, all they were not listening. They'd already made up their mind, and they wanted me. I thought, oh my God. And so we were having, there were again, a couple dozen people. Swami at this point was down in Los Angeles. And so we were at a restaurant. And so I said, Swami, the good news is we landed this program I was telling you about, and they have hundreds of thousands of people watching, and it's just wonderful. But there's a little problem, and it's that they want me instead of you. And he said, what? And I said, Swami, I did my very, very best to assure them that they would be better off to have you than me. And he said, oh my gosh. He said, no, we should have Asha on. And that made perfect sense to me. And I was overjoyed at that wonderful alternative. And I said, Swami, and it just kind of came through. I said, Swami, they want me on the program, and it's going to be fine. And I was a bit astonished because I had no public speaking experience. As a matter of fact, he told the story very often, and he would always say that Haridas, after only 2 months at Ananda, I had been there 2 years. And apparently, in his mind, I was so green that, I guess it was a compliment that he didn't say he's been with us for a few days. He at least added on a little bit more, a couple of months. And so Swami was there in the audience. There were about 35 people there watching. My parents were there. My aunt and uncle were there. Of course, all the Ananda people were there. And I just thought to myself, well, here we go. And it went well, it went fine. And that's why over the years, I believe he was happy to share this story, that though this person, me, at one point they said, well, what's this? And I shared in a very simple way what I, thought it was and the benefits and so on. And he liked that because if Aja had been on, she would have taken some more time with it and it would have been very articulate and, et cetera, et cetera. But my way was very, very simple explanation. But he appreciated that because as he would share the story, he said he was just coming from his heart. And that was very meaningful for him. And I was so happy. It was only 10 minutes long. I was so happy to be finished with that test because there are those times, as Swamiji shared numerous times too, about his mother, who was studying to be a violinist and perhaps in time would have been a concert violinist. And his mother would say, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing badly. And she had a problem with one of her fingers, which made it difficult for her to play the violin properly because she had had some kind of an injury. And Swami loved to share that. And what was the point? And I did pretty good, but it wouldn't have been compared to Swami and Asha. So you might say in a way that I qualified in doing my best because I rose to the occasion, but it might have been a little bit better had there been another one in there, obviously. And so the point being, and it's why Swami enjoyed quoting his mother, is that the main thing is do it now. When we have a calling, whatever it might be, and Ananda specializes, as we like to share, in throwing people off the bridge. And it seems like it's quite unkind, but it just seems to be the way. And our knees may be trembling, as we go up there and sing the solo that, somehow we got talked into, singing all these things. But the main thing is taking that step. Years later, it didn't go so well for me. I was there in Sacramento. We had promoted a program for him, hundreds of people. We were delighted. But the problem in this instance was that I was the one to announce Swami. And it was, for me, a real to talk. My partner there, we were both monks in Sacramento. He loved to get up there, but he was behind the camera and couldn't be in two places. And so I basically was incoherent in the announcement. And that was that. And I'm not exaggerating. Afterwards, Swami said, as we were driving to a spot to have a little bit of dinner, he said, "You did a wonderful job." And I said, "Swami, I'm so sorry." No, you did fine. I know exactly what he was talking about. It was an absolute disaster. It should have been somebody else up there. For God's sakes, we're there for Swami and with who he is and what he's accomplished. It would have been better to have somebody that, could get something out of his mouth. And that didn't happen. So where was he coming from? Was he there? Was he present? Was he, maybe in a state of meditation where he was spared my introduction? None of that. He was there. He was alert. He was present. But that I had stepped forward to do this, which was mine to do. And I could have retired from public speaking. It was that much of a disaster right there on the spot. And I think people would have appreciated that, I at least was up there once until I retired. And that was the end of it. But that wasn't my karma. And here I am, even at this moment, thinking, okay, maybe Roma could, rise from, rise from the bed and, come here and finish off, the talk. Not going to happen. So for us, as we read from this extraordinary story, here, Master was at the point between the eyebrows. Of course, he was a master. What a great advantage. When he was suffering excruciating pain. And yet he wanted, because all he cared about was helping other people, what he wanted to do was to demonstrate. This is what we can all achieve when we have, again, this level of consciousness. Here I am, there's no pain. Now that couldn't have been, even the finest Shakespearean actor could not pull that off. It would be absolutely impossible. You'd have to only do it with a level of superconsciousness as he had. And he demonstrated numbers of times. Now I'm here, walking freely, no trace of pain on his face. And then bringing his body, bringing his consciousness down, and they would see instantly that his face registered this tremendous trauma, something, no doubt, that those that were present never forgot. It was such a miracle, such an amazing thing. I remember when Ananda burned down in 1976, and that could have been it for Ananda, and we wouldn't be here today. Ananda wouldn't be worldwide because we could have easily thought, we put all this energy into it, and you would think the Divine Mother would be doing something different than burning the whole place down. In my opinion, it was the thing to do because we weren't very good builders, and some of the houses there, I mean, I had a hand in some of them. They were so bad. You know, when you put in the last nail and it was still standing, you just, praise the Lord. They were in rough shape. And I remember when Steve Sheridan came, our first journeyman carpenter, we were so excited to have him. We put him immediately on a project. And when it was still standing and actually looked nice and was structurally sound, then of course we asked him to do bigger and better things. But we had to wait for some time for him to come, and others that had the skills and so forth to continue to build the community. But when the place burnt down, I was in San Diego. My grandmother had a heart attack. And so I was down there caring for her. And Jyotish got on the phone and he said, you need to come back right away. It worked out. My grandma was doing better. I was able to race back to the community from Southern California. And it was devastation, absolute devastation. And, it was, I guess, Divine Mother making a point, and also perhaps a little bit of humor. All the houses were gone except there was one. But that winter, a tree fell on the house and split it in two, which is to say, I meant all the houses. And incredibly, dear friends, were there eating there in their front room. And when they heard the crack of this massive tree, then they raced to the back room and they were then spared their lives. And so even with the fire, what did Swami do? And I was new. Yeah, I had been there, about 8 years at that point. No, 6 years actually. He decided to go on a all U.S. tour. I thought, if he was practical, we'd grab some shovels and kind of clean up the mess. And he's getting a motorhome and taking, a bunch of workers, that could be also, making, the land more pretty. Now off he went. And it stopped my mind. It's good from time to time to stop, have the mind stop. We're always trying, aren't we? And this was an instance when it came to me like a thunderbolt. And I thought, well, he knows what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. And what did he call the tours? The joy tours. The place just burnt down. You could explain to me, maybe another title, the recovery tours, the joy tours. What is this? And yet numbers of people came from these tours, and people that are with Ananda to this day, because this is what this path is about. This is what all true paths are about, is to rise to the occasion. And that's why at Ananda, we are big on saying yes to life. And it's not always easy. Another time, also quite dramatic, we were in a lawsuit, and this lawsuit lasted for a long, long time. And I remember, once again, I was astonished. The effort that was put out in this lawsuit by this grouping of people, Keshava being one of them, was tremendous. And to sustain that effort for, the many years it required and the finances and all, it was just absolutely awesome. Well, Swami came back from the Bay Area, where all of this was going on, back to the village, and 2 back-to-back weekends, what did he do? Concerts. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we should do prayers, or I don't know, have a vigil, or I don't know, go on a fundraiser. He's doing these concerts. And I remember my father being a very spiritual man. My mother and father came to Ananda, quite a lot in those early years. Matter of fact, right on through. And I remember after that concert, I don't remember if it was the first weekend or the second weekend, I just happened to glance at my dad, and his face was just radiant. And I thought, I think he got the message, because the vibration was so strong. As Swamiji said, if you want to get to know me, then listen to my music, sing my music. And so that was something that again, was so impactful, because God and gurus, Swamiji, these souls that know what's going on, God himself always is telling us it's a happy ending. So keep your energy up. Don't be caught in all of these passing experiences. When the energy goes down, it needs to go back up. When I was little, I don't know if you guys had this, probably not the gals, you probably were doing something else, but maybe the fellas had the punching bags. And, this were just mine was a big clown, poor thing. And you punch it and it would go, and then it would come back. And I thought, well, I was little, I didn't know. I thought I punched you and you should be down and you're back up again. And so I had a lot of fun with it, and I was a good guy and didn't stick a pin in it, which would have been cheating, and that would have been the end of that toy. But it stuck with me all of these years, because that's the kind of spirit that we need to have. The Maya comes, the karma comes, whatever it might be, gravity sets in and it pulls our energy down. It's easy, just draw the energy back up. What the world, very often, people in this world, they make the mistake when the energy plummets down to try to figure it out. Well, the yogis have discovered, and it's such a shortcut. First, lift your consciousness. Then you can tackle the problem. What's the miracle that happens again and again? What problem? It's like Roma's sisters. They were fighting. They're both, again, Irish. The whole family's Irish. And so fighting, and so then that was it. I guess you hit someone too hard in the nose. It wasn't physical, obviously. But they didn't talk for a long time. I think it was 1.5 years, but you'll have to ask Roma at another time. And so, but it was a long time. It was not just, a few hours or a few days. And so finally, one had the courage, because it took that, to call the other one. And so they began talking. I guess it was a little stiff in the beginning. Oh, it's you, whatever. I don't know. I didn't know any of those details. But the amazing thing was, both of these sisters have a wonderful sense of humor. At one point it came up, now, what were we fighting about? They couldn't remember. And I thought, that's just such a classic for all of us. The energy, creates this turmoil and we go down and so on. Half the time we can't remember what bothered us. It could be just as simple as maybe tripping over a rug or something. And all of a sudden that triggers, this world is so unfair. And this is, again, another trouble I have, tripping over the rug. And I already, lost my flashlight, and on and on and on it goes. But why? When we have this privileged existence where we've worked so hard. I remember Swami one time, we were talking, and this was during a time when there was quite a lot of challenge for him. And he said, I worked very, very hard to get to where I am. And I said, oh, yes, Swami. And he didn't often talk in that way, but this was a time when he was really sharing from his heart. And it was just he and I at that point, just talking together. And I thought to myself, yes, that's true. And it's true for all of us. We've really, really put out so much energy to get to where we are. Now what we need to do, appreciating that grace on the deepest level, on a soul level, is to continue to sustain that and do everything we can to remember that if joy isn't a part, and peace and love and all of the spiritual qualities that we know and revere and so forth, knowing it's our own self, if those aren't present, that needs to be the priority. Fix it. Yogis are very practical. Fix it. Fix it so that the energy is back into a state of grace. Then tackle whatever's needed. Once we form that habit, then we're in pretty good shape. It's just a matter of staying alert. Swami in his last satsang in Pune, I would highly recommend you watch it. This was just 6 weeks before he passed in Italy. And he came in and he said, I'm not feeling very well. I've been up till 3 a.m. writing, and I think I have double pneumonia, and also my hearing's gone. And this was the good ear. But he was so sweet. People were just drinking in his energy. And then he said, does anybody now know how I could fix this? I mean, this is my good ear going out. And I've heard that maybe in 3 months it can come back, but you never know, and so forth. And as he was sharing in this satsang, I thought to myself, what an amazing thing, because he came and about the first thing he said is, I'm not feeling that well and this and that, but he was just radiant. He said, but I wanted to talk to you because I'm not going to be seeing you. I'm going to Italy. I want to talk with you. I want to be with you. And that's Divine Mother, and that's the Guru, and that's Swami, and that is all of us in this Sangha, that we want to do what we can to uplift and to encourage and to help people to sustain their enthusiasm. And that's why all these years, one of my favorite meditations is just to see you all as I'm seeing you now. And I'm doing my best to see you guys online too. Because what do we see in one another? The eyes being the windows of the soul. For doing my makeup, to say there's a smile, appreciate that. And don't forget, because when you don't do my makeup, I shouldn't even go out of doors, because, what is this? What kind of contribution is this when I'm just walking around, grim? And so as we grow spiritually, we begin to appreciate the grace that we've been given. And it's stories that are, so dramatic as the one we read with the will falling on Master's foot, and on it goes. And it gives us the encouragement to continue on. And that's what it's all about, because we don't know when God comes like a thief in the night. We don't know when we're going to be out of this craziness. But right now, God and Guru does know. Right now. If God and Guru, whoever it might be, were to materialize, and we were to say to them, excuse me, I don't want to take too much of your time, but can you tell me when I'm to be awake from this dream? They would know in an instant, and they would share that with us if it was appropriate. And it wouldn't matter whether it was the next moment or another day of Brahma, because there's no finish line. It's all happening in the present. And so we don't have to feel like, doggone it, Buddha was freed thousands of years ago, and look at me, I'm still trying to work on good thoughts, this is a disaster. We do not know where we are. We do know who we are and where we're going. And so we don't have to be thinking in ways of, oh my gosh, I'm the laggard. As Swamiji at one point said, he had heard from Master, it takes a long time, thousands of years, to move forward spiritually. And Master Swami said, does it always take that long? Because he didn't want, as he said, to be the only laggard. And you think Swami is a laggard, oh my God. And Master said, yes, it always takes a long time, because this desire for soulmates and for, these wonderful opportunities of career come again and again and draw people away. But at one point, we need to be like Senor Coron, the center leader in Mexico City, who apparently had drifted a bit in previous incarnations. And Master had told him that. But he said, this time, he said to Coron, I won't lose sight of you. And so Mr. Coron would come from time to time from Mexico City to visit Master at Mount Washington and so forth. And he would always say to Master, remember your promise. remember your promise. You won't lose sight of me. And that's all that we care about. Because with Divine Mother so present in our lives, in our hearts, everywhere, she, of course, she's never going to lose, nor the Guru, lose any enthusiasm for moving us forward and ultimately to free us. So read, as Master recommended, in the autobiography of a yogi, Samadhi, and he added, memorize it. And even if it's just a line here and a line there, very, very helpful to keep us focused on eternity. That lifetime that when we achieve the bliss will be for eternity. And so what is this small little bit that we're having to put out? It's just a dot. It's a grain of sand in terms of effort when we think of the grand prize that awaits us. So God bless you all. Thank you for